It's been 5 years since Joe Lieberman left the Senate, a lifelong Democrat who won his final re-election as an independent after losing to a left-leaning primary challenger. Do you think there's room for people like Joe Lieberman in the Democratic Party today?
Well, I worry about it, and I'm afraid the parties are increasingly becoming sort of homogenous in terms of opinions, and they're getting to be like warring tribes. I think that's a big part of why President Trump got elected, because he was from outside.
Still, Lieberman believes the November midterms favored the Democratic Party, but he also told CBN News they shouldn't be too confident.
All they got to do is go back about a year and a half to 2016, and of course most Democrats felt there was absolutely no chance that Donald Trump would be elected president, but here he was.
Although he endorsed Hillary Clinton, Lieberman supports President Trump on a number of issues, like his tough stance on Iran. He even introduced one of the more controversial cabinet nominees to his former Senate colleagues. In turn, President Trump considered him as a replacement for FBI Director James Comey until Lieberman bowed out of the running. A lot of observers describe his tenure so far as tumultuous.
It may be that that's just the way he is, and that's the way his administration will be. I must say myself, overall, that I agree with some things and I disagree with others. I probably agree with him generally on foreign policy. I think he's brought some strength back to our foreign policy. But the truth is that I wish the president would tweet a little less, a name call on some of the people against him a little less, and just focus on policy and really use his skill as a negotiator to find common ground.
Common ground is familiar territory for him. Once Democrat Al Gore's running mate, he would later cross the aisle to support the Iraq War and become close friends with several in the GOP. During your time in the Senate, you had very unique friendships with Lindsey Graham and Senator John McCain.
They were great friends. People ask me, do you miss the Senate? Well, sometimes, but it usually passes quickly. But I miss my friends. John has a serious cancer, but he's fighting it. From everything I know, the treatment is succeeding. But for now, it limits him. So I pray for him every day. Washington needs John McCain, whether you agree with him or disagree with him on every issue. He's a real patriot and speaks his mind and is willing to work across party lines.
Lieberman's latest venture is a new book about his love of the law, both God's law as an Orthodox Jew and the rule of law as a former prosecutor.
The book is about the Ten Commandments, really, and it's about the centrality of God's giving of the Ten Commandments, not only to our faith, particularly Christianity and Judaism, but to our vision of what the law is. The Exodus from Egypt, God's liberation of the children of Israel from Egypt, was only the beginning of the story. It wasn't all about freedom alone, because freedom alone is not enough. Freedom without law, without values, particularly that God gave us in the Ten Commandments, that kind of freedom without law probably leads to injustice, immorality, violence, chaos. So the end of the Exodus and the liberation was the revelation.
And as for division in America, he says, look no further than the people of the book to find examples where unity prevails. I think it's interesting that you just mentioned Judaism and Christianity. These are two groups that haven't always been closely associated.
Well, I really appreciate what you've said, John, because I believe that as I look back at my life, what are some of the great changes for the better that I've seen? One of them is the coming together of Judaism and Christianity. There was always this strain within Christianity of a love of the Hebrew Bible and a love of Israel. It was there in the founding generation of Americans, and a lot of that is reflected in the values that were expressed in the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution. So why this has happened now, I don't know, but I'm very grateful.
Well, we really appreciate your time.
Thank you.
John Jessup, CBN News, Washington.